Welcome to another episode of the Sketchbook Habit. Today, I really want to focus on the Hobonichi again and some ideas for them and techniques that I have found really helpful for this particular paper and why I chose it. I'm going to do some other videos using my other sketchbooks in the near future, but this is a really popular daily planner and journal right now, and a lot of people are using them for their daily sketchbook, for illustrated journaling. And I chose the Hobonichi because of the paper that it has, and the paper is called Tomoe River paper, and it's really thin and kind of transparent paper, but it's very, very strong. And what I love about it is that my watercolor and my pen work and pencil work does not show through on the other side. There's no ghosting or show through on the other side. It doesn't bleed. I chose, when the Hobonichi comes, it comes with just the planner, which is a paperback planner, and then they sell these covers. I just chose a plain blue, I think it's called water blue, and it's this nice aquamarine blue on the outside, and then a kind of a royal navy-ish blue on the inside. And then I also chose to get a cover on cover, which is this clear plastic cover that has some design work on it to protect my cover, and then when this cover wears out, I can just buy a new cover on cover and keep my original regular cover. I hope that makes sense, but if you're familiar at all with Hobonichi, you will know that they do come with many, many options to personalize it for yourself. So I'm going to open it up, and the first thing you'll notice, it has lots of pockets in the front and in the back. So I use those pockets to hold stickers and things that I use, sometimes sticky notes, a business card from my favorite watercolor manufacturer, Wildthorn. She makes beautiful artisan watercolors, and I keep that in here just to remind me how much I love them. And then some other stickers. It's pretty simple. I don't have a whole lot going on in this one. I do have another Hobonichi that I use for my daily planner, and it's smaller. It's an A6 version, the original Techo, and that's a whole different topic, but this one I use just for daily sketching. And so I want to open it up. It does come with full year calendars for the current year, last year, and then the following year, which is really handy. And then it comes with this kind of monthly spread, which we have 6 months on a page. And I am using this to write down the daily Hobonichi challenge that occurs on Instagram. And if you are interested in doing this challenge, you can look up Instagram user Paylist Blue, and she posts those lists of challenges, daily challenges, once a month. And this month, the theme is the Year of the Dog. And so I have here written down all of the different dogs that I'm supposed to do every day. And then when February comes, I'll fill it in here as well. So the Hobonichi also comes with bookmarks, and I use mine, the first one, to show where my monthly spread is, and that is where I'm doing the Hobonichi challenge on Instagram. And again, this month is the Year of the Dog. And so every day I've taken 5 minutes to draw the portrait of the dog of the day. I'm truly only taking 5 minutes, so they're not great drawings, but they're really fun, and I cannot wait to see the whole month filled out with cute doggy faces. It's super, super fun. I started late in December, so this was last month. They were all kind of Christmas and holiday winter themes. So you'll notice that the backgrounds are colored. Once I put the graphite drawing in, I'm using just a plain colored pencil to fill in the background with some color to make the page more colorful. Now, I'm going to skip ahead to the weekly pages, and I'm not going to show much of this because this is my private journal. And every night I have been just spending a few moments writing down some thoughts for the day. So that's how I'm using this one. And then we get into the daily pages of Hobonichi. And the daily pages start with a blank page, so I made just a drawing that depicts January to me, just some pine trees and a snowy landscape. And you'll notice that for all of these daily pages, I'm starting with a watercolor wash. I did another video about how to do this in your Hobonichi and some tips for it, but I just want you to notice how beautifully the paper takes watercolor. It's sort of dreamy and magical, and it makes the paper crinkly. And I really love how it looks, and that is the main reason why I chose this journal. So you'll notice as I flip through these pages that each one I've done a watercolor wash, usually the night before, and then I take about 10 to 15 minutes to do a graphite drawing, whatever speaks to me at that moment and from what the watercolor wash kind of turned out like. I think a really important part of this is the pencil that I've been using. And this pencil is called the Uni Kuru Toga. It's a 0.5 lead size, and it's just a really nice mechanical pencil that feels nice in the hand, and it has an excellent eraser, and I'll demonstrate that in a little bit. So I've been very, very happy with this. I did not, however, like the lead that it came with. So I did some research, and I found that the Pilot Neox graphite lead was the perfect lead for me. I will also demonstrate that later in the video as to why I love it so much. But I purchased it in a 2B, so it's nice and soft and can get very dark on the page. And it's really easy to smudge and to erase. That's the main quality I love about this, is that when I use this eraser, the graphite lifts instantly from the paper, which is really hard to find. So more about that later. But I'm going to flip through. I've gotten about halfway through the month so far, and I'll do another video at the end of the month. But I'm going to flip through these pages, and you can see that the subjects vary greatly. Here I've just done a bowl on a wooden table, and over here is just a simple handmade vase with some twigs of leaves, some branches of leaves. But what I want you to notice is how beautifully the watercolor dries on the paper. I do clip the paper to a board and then paint, and then I use a hair dryer to dry it. And that's why I get all of these little random splotches, because the paper dries a little bit smoother and the watercolor is pushed around by the hair dryer until it creates these very random effects. And I just love them. I absolutely love them. Every day I just choose colors randomly from my Wild Thorn handcrafted watercolor set. And I guess I'll just take a moment to show you that as well. Mine came in a little tin like this, and I have a wide variety of colors that I've collected, and I'll keep collecting them as they come out. But these watercolors are just exquisite, and I love the unusual pigments, the way they mix and mingle on the page. They're just wonderful, wonderful paints. But again, if you don't have these and you have other watercolor paints, any watercolor paint would work just fine in the Hobonichi. So this one, I saw a moon the way the watercolor dried, so I just sort of made it into a moon with a face. And here I saw kind of a glass bottle, and I just added some sprigs of greenery in it. I love the bronze color down here. It's called Bronze Star. And then on January 8th, I felt this kind of splash of water happening, and so I drew just an old clawfoot tub in the corner of a room with a wooden slat floor. Over here, actually the Hobonichi challenge of the day was a greyhound, and I actually saw a greyhound in the way the watercolor dried. So I just drew the profile of the dog here. And then on this day, I saw a flower very clearly, so I just enhanced that by kind of drawing around it with graphite and then smudging it until I got that effect, and then adding a few details. This was a really quick one. Love the colors here. This one was kind of a fail in my eyes. I love the watercolor, but I was not really happy with my drawing. But again, it's a daily thing, and after 365 days, you're going to have some that you're not happy with, and you're going to have some that you love. But the important thing is that I do it every day, and so I'm keeping myself fluid as a draftsman. This one I saw very clearly a golden retriever playing in the water, so I sort of tried to enhance that. It's so-so. This one I really didn't know what to do, so I did a blindfolded self-portrait. taking about 10 minutes to close my eyes, feel my face, and kind of mark down the textures and contours that I felt. This one, I saw a very clear skull on the way the watercolor dried, so I tried to enhance that and make it look like a skull. I didn't look at a real one, so it's not really anatomically any kind of animal, but that's just what appeared to me. Also, again, I love this bronze star color. And then this one, I was inspired by a photograph on Instagram that I saw on a page that I follow, and I just sort of used that as a guide. Just a kind of misshapen handmade bowl with 3 pieces of fruit in it. I love the greens, the way they came out. And you can see that the graphite, I've just surrounded the bowl with it and just smudged it with my finger. Same with the shadow. Then once I was done smudging, I can use that wonderful eraser to lift out highlights. It's very, very effective. And then here I saw a fairy and some rocks, and so that's what I drew. And then here, this looked like sort of a path up a mountain to me, and this figure, this woman, was almost entirely there in the watercolor, so I just enhanced it a little bit with my pencil. And then I drew another figure ahead of her, a little smaller in the distance. I really love this one. I love the way the colors created this sort of rocky mountain path. And then this morning, I drew my favorite coffee mug. It's right here. Hello. And the colors and the way it dried on the page reminded me of the artist who created this coffee mug. Her name is Andrea, and she has wonderful, wonderful handmade pottery, and I bought this mug from her. So I just drew my favorite mug. So that's as far as I've gotten, January 18th. A little bit later, I'll make my watercolor wash and it'll be ready for tomorrow. And again, I do have a video under the Sketchbook Habit playlist that is a demonstration of how I create these watercolor washes. So I'd like to go back to so the Hobonichi goes through all of the months for daily pages. And in the back, there's some plain note paper. This is the board that I purchased to put under the pages to protect them when I'm drawing or painting. But I wanted to show you a little bit about this pencil. So again, this is the Uni Kuru Toga with a Pilot Neox 2B lead. And I want to show you how beautifully it goes on the paper. So I'm just kind of smoothing it around a little bit. I can get really, really light with very little pressure, and then I can go over it a couple times and get really, really dark tones. All right, but the most beautiful part about this is if I use my finger, which is what I use for these quick sketches, to smudge it, it smudges just wonderfully. And then with this eraser, I can just swipe it through and lift the graphite effortlessly. Okay, so I'm going to show you the difference if I use another pencil, which I happen to really like for graphite work in general. This is the Faber-Castell 9000 in a 2B, so the same lead hardness. And when I'm using this on the paper, it just doesn't have the same effect. Okay, it doesn't get as dark without quite a bit of effort. It does get nice and light, but there's a scratchier feel to it. The lead is not as pure and soft as the Pilot Neox lead. And when I blend it, do you see how it doesn't smudge quite the same? So if I use my eraser on it, it does erase fairly well. I really think that this eraser is fantastic, the one that comes with the Uni Kuru Toga, and I did buy refills for it. They are readily available. So it does erase well with that eraser. And if I use a kneaded eraser, swipe it through, it works fairly well, not quite as well as with the other eraser. But where the magic really happens for me is how this graphite reacts with watercolor on the page. So if I'm drawing on the watercolor, it takes the pencil beautifully. And I really can still get that nice soft smudge with it, almost losing any kind of outline that I might have. So I can get really soft edges, kind of mysterious edges, easily make some lost edges and found edges. If I put the eraser down, it works beautifully. But here's another thing. The eraser on this paper also will lift the watercolor a little bit. So I can use that as a drawing tool as well. If I use my other 2B pencil on the watercolor, again, it doesn't feel as smooth when it goes down. It's a little bit scratchier, and if I try to blend it, I'm not getting that total smudge that I can get with the Pilot Neox lead. So you can still see some lines here. Let me put a little bit more down, smoothly as I can, just so we can see how it erases. Still, the eraser works quite well. In person, when I use it on this lead, it really erases beautifully. And this one, it takes a little bit more effort. So this pencil, and mostly this lead, this pencil with its beautiful eraser, and mostly this lead, have been, I think, wonderful discoveries to use with the Hobonichi, with the Tomo River paper. So that is basically the video for today. I hope that if you have a Hobonichi, you might try some of these techniques. If you don't have a Hobonichi, maybe at one time you'll want to try one. We'll get into some other sketchbook types and techniques and tips for those as well. But this is what I'm using right now, and I really just wanted to share my discoveries with you. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks so much for coming and watching. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos and hope that you'll subscribe to my channel for all of the latest updates. Thanks so much for being here.